Good evening, everybody. It is We See You Wednesday. Yes, you'll see the shoulders with the shimmy. I am here to celebrate with you all on our We See You Wednesday. This is Sisters with Agenda. This is our space to celebrate each other amongst the village, to let you all know that we see you, we hear you, and we appreciate you. This day is two different opportunities. So We See You Wednesday is us spotlighting somebody amongst the village who has been rocking and rolling with us, and we see you out there doing some great things. Good evening, everybody. And then also we offer a We See You Wednesday recognition, right? We are changing the narrative amongst the village, and a lot of times we don't recognize our people in public spaces, right? And we give them their flowers and we recognize them and we celebrate them. So we have a We See You Wednesday recognition. If there is somebody amongst your village that you want to recognize, you want to celebrate, and you want to let them know that you appreciate them, send in a request and we will have them join our Wednesday We See You Wednesday recognition, and you all will come and join them live to celebrate them. So tonight we will be celebrating one of our sisters who have been with the Sisters with Their Journey for 2 years now. And when I say she is the sister in the back, they usually don't talk. And now she is coming live today to talk about her journey and her transformation. I am so excited to share this space with her. So I am super excited to have you all join. I want to thank you all for sending the love today, to let her know that we are seen and heard. And you never know when it will be your day to be spotlighted amongst the village. So this is all again about changing the narrative and changing the mindset. So many times we bust jokes, we talk negatively, and it's a lot of negative conversation. But the more we amplify the positive and the great things that's happening amongst the community, the more we begin to shift our culture. So for all of the people who are new to the Sisters with the Agenda Village, my name is Tadja Morris and I am your founder. And what we do here at the Sisters with the Agenda Village, we are here to amplify your mission, your message, and your story. Okay, so this is our space for us to amplify you all, and it starts with telling your story, because who better can tell your story than you? We focus on self-awareness, self-esteem, and self-expression, and we do that in a multiple different ways. So we have, I want to say, 4 to 5 different series that we offer here. All of our information is updated on our website. So if you go check out our website, check out our IG series, you will see all of our updates. Our accountability check-in group session, I have put a discount rate up for tonight. So for $25, you can join our monthly session. You will get daily accountability text message, and then at the end of the month, you will join the sisterhood to come and talk about it virtually. Good morning, good evening. I'm Rochelle. If you can send me a request, we'll get this conversation rate up for $25 for anybody joining tonight. Tell a sister to tell a sister. They're going to want to come and join this accountability check-in. And the reason why we do that is because a lot of us have personal goals we're working on, professional goals we're working on, and we need that check-in once a month to say, hey, are we reaching the goals, and what resources or tools that you need to help aid you along the journey, right? Because Sisters with the Agenda is trying to give you the resources and tools at the access of your fingertips. And we can do that through our lives. We can do that through our accountability check-in, and we also have our one-on-one check-ins. So my prices was wrong. It is $75 for 60 minutes. If you would like to get a one-on-one session so we can talk about healing, releasing, and stepping into your personal and professional mission, please go check out the website. All right, so let's see if we can get our guests on. All right, Rochelle, if you can send me an invite, we're going to get the conversation started. Send this out to some of your friends and have them come join the conversation. It's saying you're unable to join. Let's see. Y'all know Instagram. Let's see. Let's see. How is everybody doing tonight? How are y'all all doing? I hope you all are well. If you are feeling alive and you are feeling charged and you feeling seen and you're feeling heard, drop some hearts in the comment. Okay, it's a little warm today. We've been having a heat wave, but we all are staying activated. We all are staying motivated. We all are staying encouraged. I'm telling you, when you are right with yourself and you are aware of who you are and the people amongst your village, it is no battle that you can't overcome. Okay, so I just want to remind you of that. With the power of the village, there is nothing that you will not be able to overcome. So I'm so grateful to my village. I'm so grateful to the people amongst my village who continue to aid me along the journey. Good evening, sis.
I'm trying to get it together.
No, listen, it's okay. It's okay. I told you, she's my sister in the back. You on the internet? On the computer?
Yes, I'm on both. I'm on my phone because I'm trying to get it on the computer.
Okay, you probably. So I don't know if it actually works on the laptop. I know everybody that tried to do it on the laptop.
Didn't.
Yeah. But if you turn the camera around, look at that, y'all. Y'all see me sipping my tea in Mississippi. Good
Okay.
evening, sis. Oh
Good
my goodness.
evening.
I remember us, I think it was the Unstuck series or Women Trapped in Insecurities, and you not even want to put in your camera on. So y'all don't know
Right.
how much growth. First of all, when I sent the request out, because I'm going to always send y'all the request, I'm going to always ask and encourage y'all to come share y'all testimony. And when she responded, yes, sis, I'm ready to share, I felt the transformation for you. I felt the joy
Right,
for
right.
you. And I'm just
Yeah.
so happy to be along this journey with you. So, Rochelle, introduce yourself. Let them know who you are and how you found out about Sisters with the Agenda Village.
Okay. My name is Rochelle McCann. Is it loud? How does it sound?
Yep, we hear you. You're
Okay.
perfect.
My name is Rochelle McCann, and I am a mother of two young men, 28 and 20. And I found Sisters with an Agenda because another special mom, Sheena, was interviewed by you. And I wanted to see her interview um, because she has helped me throughout my journey. So I wanted to check out her interview. And after her interview was such an amazing interview, I started following you and your platform. And so with just following you, I really like the Testimony Tuesdays where people shared their testimonies of where they were, their journey, how they got to the place that they are now. Um, I like the tools and tips and accountability, check-ins, and what I love the most is you are one who shares the information that's going on in the community. So any community service, anyone who has a business that is helping the community, anyone who is volunteering, we're talking from the young children to seniors, you make sure you make us aware of what's going on in our city.
Yes.
And so um, that's what happened. I started seeing what you were doing, and I really liked it. I enjoyed the interviews, and it helped me in my journey. And so you were just talking about the Unstuck series. So around the time that I discovered your platform, I was starting, or it was the beginning of my journey of self-discovery and wanting to know who Rochelle is and what is that going to really look like for her. And so I started off in therapy, and which helped me start off with the things that I wanted to explore. You know, the different things that I was curious about, the things that I was ashamed of, the things that I wanted to change in my life. And so I started with therapy. I started opening up more with my therapist. I started feeling comfortable. And one of the things that I was working on was my self confidence. And just knowing, like, really knowing who I am. What do I really like? You know, what do I not like? And I wanted to stop being that person that I knew I no longer was. Like, I knew that little by little, my life was changing. And not only was it changing, I wanted more. I wanted more for me. I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to know what that looked like, what that felt like, and not just temporarily, not just on a Monday, and then Wednesday I'm in tears, or, you know, I'm not having a good day. And so I decided to start the journey. And so it started with therapy. Um, And then everything just kind of fell in my lap. I also knew that I needed something additional with therapy that I wanted to be a part of. So I wasn't sure if that was like a support group, but I do know I wanted something like empowering, encouraging, and had the tools of you taking accountability.
Yeah.
You know, changing your habits, changing the things that you need to change for you to progress further. So, like when I discovered Sisters with an Agenda, it was just like, okay, all right, you know, and from there, I went into like the Unstuck series. So, you know, I'm still seeing the Testimony Tuesdays, and I'm being encouraged, and I'm still seeing like the with businesses. I mean, I have a business now, but those things are seeds that were planted from your platform. So those were still good information that I can store for when I am ready. You know, and just accountability. Like you do have to take accountability. And so you broke it down to where if someone is watching you, that's what you can think about. Okay, now it's time for me to take accountability. I'm ripping and running and I'm doing everything else and I don't feel like doing this. But I want change in this area. So let me take accountability of what I'm not doing. So that's how it started. And I think from the Unstuck series, we went into women trapped in insecurity. So it was kind of like it was one thing after another. So it was like everything that I needed during that time for the place that I was at. And so with women trapped in insecurities, it was an intimate setting. The women, we did not know each other, and it was a safe space. It was a space where you can be vulnerable. We did choose like certain things that we wanted to specifically work on as far as our insecurities. And with that, we did have like the tools. We were able to be honest with one another. We also, you know, we had people who did speak, and so it was like everything that I needed, I got, and it was just like from Instagram because I'm not a big social media person, so I'm just like, but I was ready for it. Like I needed it, I was ready for it, so I just jumped into it, and it was exactly what I needed at the time.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So it's so crazy because, you know, that's how the journey started for me. And like you said, thinking about Instagram, right? Going on this platform where there can be so many negative things, but when you're
Yeah.
seeking out this space and then to build sisterhood, right? We come from a culture where it's hard to build sisterhood and find authentic people to be honest and be transparent with, to hold each other accountable. We struggle with that amongst our village, but then also like my goal is always to share the tips and tools. So shout out to Takesha. She is the founder of Women Trapped in Insecurities. Like I always say, that this platform might not be able to give you what you need, but I want to make sure that I connect you to the different resources that can continue us along the journey. And I just saw you coming along the journey and knowing that you wanted it. And like I said, she was the sister in the back. When I say I saw you on every live, I saw you like every post, you know, and you were just consistent, but you didn't like, it wasn't like a see me type of thing. It was just, I'm on this journey. And then I think actually Women Trapped in Insecurities was first because that was the end of the year. So we did Women Trapped in Insecurities first, and then we did the Unstuck series. And the Unstuck series was focused around self-accountability, self-love, self-esteem, and self-respect, because we can take all these tips and tools, but it starts with self. And once we know how to monitor self, we also are able to have better relationships amongst the village, right? Like she said she was in therapy, but there was this need of village to kind of continue to walk you through the journey. And that's what we're trying to create outside of our lives. This is our space to just release and to share and inspire. But then coming along the journey is for that growth. So, Rochelle, can you talk about some of the things that you were focused on working on? You talked about, your personal self, but what was some of the things that you were working on through the journey of the Unstuck series and Women Trapped in Insecurities that you were trying to break free from?
I was working on getting to know me, just overall. And what that looked like was just during that time, it was just a lot of things were going on. And a lot of things had been going on. And I lost myself. I lost myself for a long time. So I really did not know, like, who I was. And so with that, that's like your confidence, your self-esteem, people pleasing. It comes with all of that stuff. Not setting boundaries, not telling people no when you really want to say no, and so at that time, that is what my goal was, to know Rochelle. To know Rochelle, okay, that sounds good, but also to know Rochelle who avoids tough conversation, who at times would procrastinate, who at times would just not complete the task because I feel overwhelmed, and who use being overwhelmed as the excuse to not do things, to not participate in supporting family or friends, because I felt like, oh my gosh, I have this thing going on with my son. I couldn't see past that. And on top of that, that was priority. So everybody else was priority, and I was at the bottom.
Yeah.
And so when you asked that, those were the things, my confidence, working on your self-esteem, yourself, working on that, increasing how I looked at myself, how I felt about myself, how I talked to myself, learning to have more grace with myself, and learning to take care of myself, like really, take care of myself. And, some self-care can be, you're going out for massages and those things. We talked about that with women with your insecurities. We talked trapped in insecurities. We talked about that. And sometimes self-care is like rest.
Yeah.
Sometimes self-care is like, no, I'm not doing that. And it's not because of nothing, because I don't want to do that. That, like, I had to learn to validate how I felt, validate my feelings. And that was like my self-care. Taking the time to figure out how I can do those things. Because it just kind of was like I actually was living like you're drowning in a pool, but you're coming up to get some air. You're still surviving, but you're just coming up to get enough air to survive. And that's literally how I was living. I was just living in survival mode. So it took a lot of time for me to understand, like, you do have to work on you. You do have to come first. Like, the kids, they don't come first. And so I was very intentional on being selfish. I was very intentional on asking for what I needed. And that was so uncomfortable. It was so out of my element. But I knew what I wanted, But I had to figure out how that would look and how do you ask for what you want. And I feel like that's a major thing, is asking for help, but not only asking for help, but asking for the help how you need it.
Yeah.
Because somebody can help you, but you still feel like that's not really, that's not, but you can ask for the help how you need it, and then they can decide if they're able to do it. But you can come out with a better result because you get exactly what you need. So, those are the things that, I had to learn, that I was learning, and I'm still learning,
Yep.
through this journey. So,
Wow, that was a gem. That was a gem right there. And I have to go back though, because you talked about that the idea of drowning and coming up for air. If y'all ever been in the pool, been in some water, we all have experienced that feeling of where you feel like you're gasping for air. And it made me think about the reason why I started this platform, right? For the women that suffer in silence, right? We come out a little bit, and like you said, we ask for help, but then it's like, oh, they ain't give me the help the way I need it. So we go back to suffering in that silence. And then we only are causing ourselves more self-harm. And then we think that the world is not going to help us, or we can't find the help that we need, but we really just keep ourselves going back down, back down, back down until we get to that point where we're like, no, I can save myself. Because the one thing I
yeah,
learned about swimming is we float. We
yeah,
float. And a lot of
yeah,
times it's that fear, it's the thought in our mind. That's why the shifting the mindset is so important, because once you're able to shift your mindset, you realize that you really just float. You can
hmm
float in water. It's so amazing. Actually, one of
yeah,
my girlfriends just put up a post the other day talking about that. And I also think about where I'm at, where I just let things flow and everything flows naturally. And
hmm
even in the midst where everything's crashing down, but I'm in this ocean, but I ain't suffering no more. I'm just
right,
floating. And I have this trust in my heart that, I'm going to figure it out. And if not, I have the village. Somebody's going to come rescue me, right? Somebody's going to come rescue me. So you talked a little bit about your son, which was a big part of the journey. Do you mind sharing some more about him for the people that don't know, and being a mother with a child with disabilities, how much, like, because you talked about that sacrifice and having to be selfish, because that was a big breakthrough for you. Because with any of our kids, even if they don't have disability, we struggle with
hmm
relinquishing just simple things. Like a sister talked about
right,
giving snacks. No, this is my snack. I gave you snack. You have snack.
right,
So
right,
it can
right.
start off. It can be something that
Yeah.
small, but when it comes to our kids, sometimes we struggle with that. So can you just share a little bit about that and about your son? And what's your son's name? I'm sorry.
His name is Teron,
Orion. Yes.
and he's an awesome, loving kid. So Teron has limited speech. He is autistic, and well, he has had behavior. So right now, thank God that we have supports in place. Um, I'm listening to him. So sometimes when they feel like when people don't have a lot of words, that you don't really listen. So listening is through his body language. He is going to let you know what he wants. Now it's up to you to decide what's going to happen next. Okay. And so I think within this year, we had a tough year with behavior. Um, and I think I was going through this with him. Probably it started like last year sometime, and his behaviors escalated, and he escalated to the point where um, I didn't know what to do. So this is my baby, um, and I didn't know what to do. I was in tears. I cried a lot, and it was a struggle for me when you're talking about medication, when it comes to children that have behaviors, and this is my story. This is what's happening with me and my son, and so this is not somebody else's story. I just wanted to make that clear. But I had struggled with medication. I didn't want him to be on medication, you know, because medication to me was just something that was like, I didn't want to think about him having to be controlled by medication. He don't need to be controlled by medication. You know, I can deal with him. Okay. Okay, you go ahead. So I struggled dealing with him, you know. And sometimes in situations when we want the control, it doesn't feel like, oh, I want to control, like I'm being controlling, you know, because I was not trying to be controlling. But I controlled our environment. I controlled the environment Tehran was in. We lived in a bubble. So instead of me reaching out for support, I didn't reach out for support because it was kind of like that person has to be in my home all the time. I didn't feel like that. I don't know them. I'm not comfortable with them, with Tehran. Something could happen to them. So I was coming up with thing after thing after thing after thing. But then I was drowning, you know, but I have it together because I'm controlling our environment, you know. So I think like just with COVID, like us being just in the house, it just was too much and his behaviors escalated. So this is now out of my control. I can't control it. And so it got bad to the point where I was looking for places for him to go. And you're talking about this is my baby. Like I would have never thought that, you know, I would look for a place for him to go. You know, I'm going to try to make it's going to work. You know, I don't know how it's going to work, but it was going to work. That was never a thought, but it had to be a thought because it was too bad. And so I started looking for places, and when I called a place, she told me, like, you know, I told her about my son, and she said, well, I just want to let you know, you won't be able to come in here with him. You will have to leave him. And I'm like, he won't be able to tell you, like, he's going to the bathroom. He's not going to know who to go to sign that he has to go to the bathroom. And he will be vulnerable. It's just like putting a sheep with wolves. So I was like devastated, you know, like, what am I going to do? I finally got to the point to say, okay, I am going to seek out help. Because at that time with COVID too, you could not get appointments with psychiatrists. Okay. So remember, I didn't want medication.
Right.
Now I'm looking for a psychiatrist. So you couldn't get psychiatrists, so I couldn't get medication for him. I couldn't get their help. And, you know, someone was saying the best and the fastest way to get to a psychiatrist is for him to go into, like, the facility. So I couldn't do that. So we struggling. You know, I'm going to be vulnerable. Like, he broke my window. He broke a couple of TVs. And the reason why I'm sharing is because at one point, I was ashamed, you know. Like, my parents didn't know some of the stuff, you know, because I felt like I had to take it on. I didn't want somebody else, like them, to worry about, you know, this is like, oh my gosh, she going through this. So I was carrying it, you know, because that's what I knew. I didn't want to be for them to carry the burden with me. So because of that, I just continued. So I still was struggling with them. We were still struggling. And then it came to a point where I was just like, I can't do it anymore. So sometimes it's like you're praying and you just don't know the direction that God wants you to go in. And you may not even like the direction.
Mm-hmm.
You may not like it, but it can be for your good. But you don't know. You fighting like, no, this not what I want. I don't want it. And okay, you go ahead and keep going. You Armstrong, and I was losing it. I was losing the fight, and I just one day, we went on a ride. He was already agitated. I felt it. I seen it, and he started like grabbing. He was like grabbing me, grabbing my hair, and I just was like, I could not take it anymore. So I called my son, and he came. So when my son shows up, I call him. He is like the color purple with Silly and Mister. When she started, when Mister walked past the window, and she like, oh my! As soon as Teron sees my son, he is. You would not know. He was crawling like he was like crawling out of the car with all of his weight. He was in the back. He wound up getting to the front, and I mean, it was like he was a monster. And so I'm trying to keep him in the car because I'm controlling the environment. Because if he gets out of the car, what the hell am I going to do? So my son comes, and he's in the midst of crawling out, and he heard me call my oldest son's name. And in the midst of him still trying to get out the car, he instantly stopped and sat in the car like nothing happened. And so, I told my oldest son, like, listen, we're going to have to take him. And the blessing in this is, as I said before, the place that I was going to take him, they said, like, he would have to be left here by himself. That day that I'm telling you about, my girlfriend called me, and she said, just out the blue, earlier, she said, you know what, you can take Teron to Children's Hospital. They have a floor for behavioral health instead of you taking him to the other place to be in, to stay. And when I say it was such a relief, not knowing what was going to happen in the next couple of hours. And so when that happened and my son came, and I said, listen, I can't do it. And my oldest son was just like, Mom, no, don't worry about it. I got him this weekend. I got him. I said, and I told him, I said, but you got to bring him back. Right. And I can't. At that point, I knew it was nothing else I could do. I was depleted. And I've never felt that way. It's really a scary feeling, but I knew I couldn't do anything else. And so he took them. And that night they called me, and he was like, Mom, we're going to take them. I'll go with you to go down Chop. Yeah. And that was when you have to release control. I had to let it go. It was nothing more that I could do. And so I had to believe. I had to believe that he was going to be okay, that he was going to be safe. You don't know, but the one thing that I had peace instantly. Like instantly.
I remember
I
you
wasn't
calling
up.
me.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt you, but I remember you calling me and the joy in your voice. It was like just so much relief in your voice when you called me or sent me a message. And it was like, because before it was that moment of shame. Like it was that moment of shame, but you knew that really what you was doing was the best for you and for your son.
Yes. And sometimes we fight it so hard. Like I was fighting it. Like my son's 20. So his behaviors did not escalate really bad until last year. So, but I have been fighting it, and you can continue to fight, but it's like when you let go and release, and you feel that peace to know, like, I know it's okay. I don't need anybody to tell me, Shelly, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right, girl. Yes, you got this. It's fine. I just had it, and I thank God that he gave me that peace, because I would have been in shambles. I would have been up all night. I would have been there at the hospital. I would have spent the night. Like, I would have did so much, and I didn't do any of that because I had to start taking care of me. I had to start mending me because I was bleeding. And so with that, I understood that you can't control it. And so from those experiences, because he did return back to children, and the blessing in that is it was a few psychiatrists that would come in and visit and talk to me, and I'm detailed. I'm telling you what happened, how it happened, what was going on that night, what he had to eat when I saw the change in him, what he does when he start getting irritated. And so, this one particular doctor, he was like a young, just a young doctor, like kind of smooth, hair all spiked up. And he was like really interested in what I was saying. Like, he was listening to me. And later on, like, I guess the next time he came to visit Tehran, he said to me, if I would mind, if he can see Tehran, if he can start seeing Tehran. And I'm like, well, Tehran is 20. Do you see, young adults after 21? And he was like, yes. And he has been a great psychiatrist. He listens to the things that I say, the things that I feel like are starting to change. He returns my calls. I'm not sitting there like, something is going on now and I need you now, So he was very attentive to us. And he really took to Tehran. And he said, like, I can tell because your family, my mom was down there, my son was down there, and he was just like, I can tell your family really cares about him. And he said, I don't believe your son needs to go because CHOP is only just a stop. So you would stay there until a placement they have a bed. And so he had suggested that Tehran not be placed, that he can be regulated with his behaviors with the right type of medication. So, and that was a blessing because, okay, I'm fine. CHOP is fine. I still would have had to surrender, like, because I'm not in control of this, but, so I'm very thankful for that. And he's still his psychiatrist. So, it was a difficult journey. Let me go back to when I said, as far as having help come in. So, because I was so against it, and I'm not sure how they're going to treat Tehran, and no. So now I do have support in the home. We hinder ourselves with a lot of situations because we're uncomfortable and we are not ready to move. So we hinder ourselves with things. And, this situation I'm talking about with Tehran goes for any type of situation. You could put anything in a blank. And so I think with my journey, what I have learned is to embrace the uncomfortable things because it's going to take you to your next level. And it's going to prepare you. Like the song Fantasia, Necessary. All of that was necessary for me to get here. You know, I would not have ever thought, we're talking about 7 months ago, I would have never, I could not at that time ever imagine being at this place. It's no way at that time I could have thought that I'm at this place. But just giving up control and being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand everything that I have been through, just in general, not just me, but everything we have been through. It was necessary to build us to be where we are now and further. So, I mean, I wouldn't even believe to say that I could say that I appreciate those times. Like, I didn't at the time, and I was sad, and I was alone and lonely. I was by myself because I felt like, nobody is going through it. They really not going to understand. And I have my people love him. You know, my friends, they love Teron, but it's different when it's like your child. But once I released all of that and that control, so we have supports in. Teron is not even home. Teron is out with his aide, and he is living his best life. Like, goodbye, mom. and so I love that for him. Give me one moment.
No, I love it because you talked about a couple things. You talked about living in that shame, right? And when we live in that shame, we don't understand how much the village can aid us along the journey. And that's, like you said, it is with all people. And when I think about kids, I think about myself, and I think about my sister. My sister said this to me one day. She called me and she said, I know that sometimes the parents can say the same thing the aunts can say, or that somebody in the village can say. So that's sometimes the beauty of having the village, is that you have other people that's not the parent to be able to give your child that wisdom, the guidance, that love, that encouragement. And this is how people in general learn and develop, is the power of the village. You cannot get it all from one person. And a lot of us hinder our children from trying to, like she said, have this control. And, not realizing that there is a sense, like she said, him having an opinion, a voice, but he's feeling like he's in this sense of control. We're enabling them from their growth. We're enabling them from their full potential and their full ability. So, like I said, there was so much joy in her voice. We talked about all of these things, and, just sometimes suffering by ourselves. We don't notice how much harm we're doing to ourselves and to the people around us. So I commend my sis for just taking this journey, and God don't make no mistakes. How you was able to work on your personal self, and then everything else lined up. Because if you weren't working on your personal self, you might have not been able to release that control. If you weren't in that process of going through the therapy, going through these different series, and taking some time to identify self. And I know for me, it has helped me be a better mom and a better individual and have better relationships, because I was able to be right with myself. So I was able to allow those other things to flow. So
Yeah.
How important is your village to you now? How important, and what does those relationships look like with your village now?
My village has always been A1, like solid. They have always had my back. They have always encouraged me. When I come in and I'm crying or I'm upset, they listen. They also give me the truth.
Mm.
you know. And sometimes I get offended,
Yeah.
you know, but I have to reflect on who it is because it's like I know they love me. You know, I will reflect like, oh, I know they love me. This is out of love, you know, and so I can go back and check myself. Um, so I love my village. I love my sisters. I love my friends. I love the new people I am meeting and having relationships with. You know, I love connecting with great women who who have the passion to empower women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We need that. You know, sometimes it's like, well, why can't you empower yourself? Like sometimes you do need that support system,
Yeah.
you know, outside of your norm, you know. And so I appreciate those relationships. And I appreciate that I'm at a place where I can receive, you know, and I can start to nurture those relationships because it was a point where that was my excuse. Like, oh no, I can't go because Tehran, you know, I want to go, but I can't do this because of so that was my excuse. And a friend of mine, Tifa, she checked me. Like, you know what? And not in a way, um, I was telling her about a situation, and she said, "You know what, friend? You don't even go to your family stuff. So why would you expect or, you know, someone you going to a friend, something for a friend? And how long do you think people are going to invite you because you don't go and show up?" And, you know, she just said, like, I know you do have a lot with Tehran, but a lot of times it don't be Tehran. It's just that you don't feel like going. And what happens is when you in that space, it takes a lot for you to ask, all right, who could watch Tehran? You don't even feel like even asking.
Yeah.
You know, and not only just ask, okay, went through that hurdle. Now I was sitting around, now I really don't feel like it. So I'm pushing myself to go. Actually, I don't feel like it, so now I'm not going. And so with her saying it to me, I started being more intentional. I'm showing up for my friends. You know what I mean? I'm showing up, and yes, you know I love you, but I also can show up for support.
Yeah.
I can support you with my presence. I can help you. You know, I'm no longer leaning on the excuse with, oh, I can't do this, you know, because now I have made arrangements. You know, so those things come into play. I make arrangements ahead of time when I know things and things that I want to do. Now Tehran is taken care of. Now you can go and do the things that you need to do and be supported. You know, so I feel like once you start connecting with yourself, when you're on survival mode, you don't have consciously, you can't see those connections because I couldn't. I couldn't see, okay, how am I going to make arrangements for Tehran? Because I know, and I'm always in my mind, I already know the answer is no.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody else that's going to watch them but them. Okay, but when you're living, now you have the space to say, okay, let me make it around the time his aide is here.
Right.
Let me, you know, schedule things out. You know, it's not on a whim and a prayer. It's like, let me take this time to do this so I can show up. And then I could show up and I could feel good. Not show up and Tehran is in the car and I'm just coming through, you know, and I can't stay, you know, but show up and be supportive and loving.
Yeah. I am
So
so happy to like just see you go through this journey and come out blossoming. Like I said, just being the lady in the back. I remember you telling me about not sharing, with your parents about what's going on. I remember you calling and getting to that point like, no, I'm ready to get this help. I'm ready to get this help. I remember us talking about all of these things. So let me ask you a question. What was your reaction when we asked you to be our We See You Wednesday guest?
So I was honored. Like, I'm like, I was honored. Like, oh my gosh, me? You know, so initially I was definitely honored that you thought of me. Um, and then I thought, like, do you really want to share?
Mm.
Like, okay, I could have shared, but do you really want to share? Are you going to do this and you're going to write and because I was like starting to like write things down and what I'm gonna say or and then I thought like if you're really going to do it, you're going to do it. And you are going to bring Rochelle.
Mm.
And in that, I'm saying I'm thankful and I'm grateful for everything the Lord has done in my life. And I am going to give my testimony of where I have been and what it looks like. Because sometimes you can hear stuff, but you don't know like how. Like how did you really do it? Or how could you? Or, you're just sitting there like listening, and you want to grab a hold to it. And it's just the fact that you keep listening, you keep letting those seeds fall on good ground, you know, and then you start thinking of who you want to be. You start dreaming again. Because I wasn't dreaming again. About a few months ago, my neighbor asked me to go bike riding. I felt like I was 12 again. Like it was the best thing. And so those things that I've been working on are the things that I loved when I was younger, swimming, I'm going back to those things that I love, you know, to make me happy. So I think I would tell any woman who is in that space of feeling like despair, like I don't see change, like you have to pray. Um, what helped me is different songs, like Donald Lawrence and Ann Nesby has this song, Go Get Your Life Back. And I used to play that song because I wasn't living. And that used to encourage me, like, go get your life back. Fantasia is necessary. So you don't have a hardened heart. Thank you. Because I'm not there no more. I was hurt and I was sad and I was lonely and I didn't know what to do. But thank you because it humbled me. I understand my son better and I accept him on a different level. Like, because sometimes I used to look at parents like they had special needs kids, like, how were they, like, happy? Like, how were they, getting through this? I was struggling. I mean, I'm not talking when he first got diagnosed. I'm talking about recently, within the last couple, like, I was sitting there, like, how? Like, I still was struggling with it, And one day it came to me like, the acceptance piece. It's like you have to embrace the acceptance piece. Now, I love my son, but I didn't know I didn't embrace that acceptance piece. That went for me. Now we do fundraisers and we talk about everybody else's acceptance. But it's a level of acceptance that I had to reach with him for us to connect better, you know. So now I feel him. I watch him more now. And I talk to him gentler and softer. And I praise him more because I'm thankful that you listened to me and you said, damn, thank you. I'm thankful that you came up the steps because I know you want to stay outside. You know what, Teron? Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. That wasn't me before because I was irked. Come on, get up these steps. Get up these dang steps, you know. But no, that's not me anymore. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes I will get irked. Don't get it wrong, but for the most part, like I have learned how to deal with him, like communicate with him. Um, and I'm thankful for that. I'm grateful for it. So that's how I can, when you ask me about it, and I might have felt uncomfortable initially, it's just like, okay, no, I can talk to you. You know, I don't have to be nervous. And I can show up as Rochelle.
Oh, y'all don't even know, like the tears is like right here. That was so beautiful. This testimony was so beautiful. So beautiful, so powerful. And you saying, like, am I really going to show up as myself? Because that's what it's about, honoring and
Yeah,
celebrating yourself and celebrating those wins and celebrating the transformation that you're making in your life and knowing that it's a journey. And once you free yourself, and you kept saying, being able to live life, so many of us is
yeah,
just existing and being able to live. And you talked that last piece, right? We learned that in the field that I work with about affirming our kids and just acknowledging the little things. And as educators, they find it so hard to do those things, but you don't get how much it would shift the mindset. And then I always
mm-hmm.
remind them, as an adult, when we go to work, we want that affirmation from our boss. We want our boss
Yeah,
to know that we sent their email on time. Acknowledge me, even if it was expected of us. You get what I'm saying? But to be able to see yourself and then to see the people around you and appreciate the people around you, even like you talked about with your friendships and being able to honor those spaces, right?
yeah,
And not even just for yourself, but for those relationships and being able to keep watering those seeds. And even in the beginning, because I think you said this in one of the series about the business thing, right? You kept saying, let us see myself in business, but that seed is being watered. You know what I'm
right.
saying? That seed is being watered, and you see the idea of clarity and understanding, right? Yes, it
Yeah,
starts with that self-awareness, that self-accountability, the self-esteem, the self-expression, right? We got to be able to get out there and express ourselves and tell our story. And I always tell people, come as your authentic self. This is girl chat, we
right.
talking. And your testimony was so beautiful because you just let it flow. And I thank you so much for coming to celebrate. I need you all to drop some hearts for our sister, for the growth, for her transformation, for your willingness to come share and show up as yourself, to be authentic, to be transparent, and just to honor yourself along the whole journey, right? Yes, Sisters with the
Yeah,
Agenda was here to aid you along the journey, but it was your willingness to show up for yourself. It was your willingness to say, I want something different. I want to build relationships. I want to reach out to people. I want to grow. I want this help in my life. That is
yeah,
so beautiful to connect with people. I remember you talking about wanting to go to networking events and feeling that fear of getting yourself out there. And I see the way
right.
you
Yeah,
are blossoming. And I just wanted to celebrate you today because, like I said, I always tell people it's the lady in the back that's watching and working. And it went from watching to being on camera, off camera, to turning the camera on, to just hearing the joy in your voice. Like, I heard the joy in your voice. You called me. It was like, sis, blah, 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 and I'm about to get this service. And blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, wait, hold on, what? The joy in that release of just having that clarity and that understanding and just being able to allow things to flow. And I'm glad that you talked about that relationship with God. Sisters with the Agenda is about creating these two relationships with yourself and with God, and then everything else will fall together, from business to career to your family to being a parent to being in a relationship with somebody. Once we learn those two relationships with God and with ourselves, all things will flow. All of the healing will flow. Just the relief. I remember when I got to that point, it was like all of the tension that was in my shoulder was gone. I'm like,
Right.
just that, like, you feel the release in your body. So I just, again, I thank you for coming and joining. I thank you for sticking around. I thank you for bringing your friends in to the village, because they have aided me along this journey. And the sisterhood is real. This is the power of the village. We need each other. She shared so many gems tonight. I don't know if y'all caught them, but sis shared so many gems tonight just from sharing her testimony. And that is the power of us doing this and showing up. So I thank you again. For anybody that's joining, this is our We See You Wednesday not our We See You Wednesday recognition. This is our We See You Wednesday spotlight, where we spotlight somebody amongst the village who is doing some phenomenal things, making wonderful transformation. And this sister has been with us since the beginning of the journey, and just to come and celebrate her today and to let her know that we see you, we appreciate you, because again, we need, like she said, we sometimes need that affirmation from the village to say that we see you. It gives us the encouragement to keep on going. And that is the power of the village. And like she said, it's planting seeds. It's planting seeds and it's blossoming. And again, I just thank you for your willingness to join. If you have somebody in your life that you would like to recognize, if you have somebody in your life who has encouraged you, motivated you, it could be your mom, it could be your sister, it could be your friend, and you would like to recognize them, we also have our We See You recognition, where you can nominate somebody to be recognized, and we will come and celebrate them here at Sisters with the Agenda Village. And we are here to amplify your mission, your message, and your story, because you never know who you can inspire and encourage. So I am so grateful for you. I hope you all was able to get some gems from tonight. Please share this out, and just continue to let the village know you see you and pay it forward. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Rochelle. Have a
You're
great evening.
welcome.
And you go celebrate yourself this weekend, because sis, you deserve this. Like, I'm so proud of you. And like I said, this testimony was so beautiful. Like, literally the tears was right there, because the journey from where you started to where you are now is phenomenal. And I can't wait to see what's to come in 2023 and in years to come. Because once we locked in, you locked in at the Sisters with Agenda Village. Okay, we are family, and this is the power of the village, because we want to keep growing. And I want for my sister what I want for myself. So have a great night, everybody. We will not be live the rest of this week, but we will be back live next week. So stay tuned for our agenda, and have a great weekend. And if it's not great, make sure it's productive. All right, guys.